Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this Christmassy edition of the 700 Club. Well, our next guest was a hotshot Navy pilot in the tradition of Top Gun when he was hit head-on by a car. And here to share his amazing story, please welcome to the 700 Club from Orange Park, Florida, Lieutenant Brad Meeder. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And you look very smart.
Oh, well, we do our best.
Yes, we all do. You have an interesting story because sometimes someone in your position, especially being in the position you are and being a young man, it would have been an ambition since you were 2, 3 years old. But this is not the career you trained for. You trained to something totally different.
Completely different, exactly. I went to the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago, and even from high school was interested in broadcasting. Radio, TV, and Christian broadcasting, in fact, always interested me. And had that major at Moody, went on to get my degree at Southern Illinois University. And it was kind of funny, after Southern Illinois, while I was living in South Holland, Illinois, I was looking for a filing cabinet, and went to a used store for filing cabinets, and one past a recruiter, caught my eye, started thinking, boy, that might be interesting. It might be fun to do. And as I went through the application process, became more and more interested in flying. And once it was offered to me, I thought, well, it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to try something.
But that's quite funny, because most of us wouldn't go for it. It's like me waking up in the morning and saying, you know, I could have been a brain surgeon, but I never really tried. You actually went for it.
Went for it, exactly. And
tell us about the planes you fly today, because you fly quite an aircraft.
Okay, I fly the FA-18 Hornet, which is the Navy's newest fighter attack aircraft, and it is that. The designation is FA-18, which means it's a fighter and attack. We fly off of aircraft carriers, which you're probably familiar with. Yeah. I was able to deploy on the Coral Sea in '85 and '86, and it's I'm sure there's other people who fly other airplanes who would disagree with me, but the finest aircraft in the world today.
Well, you're the one that's here, so we'll believe you.
Okay, sounds good.
But we have here the calendar Flying High, which is a 1989 Naval Aviator's calendar, and you are Mr. May.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
There we have it up there. I mean, that's... I don't know what that feels like as a man to be Mr. May, but I love what you've written, because it says, I thank God that I'm flying the finest airplane in the world. I like a single-seat airplane because you're doing things on your own. You're responsible for everything that happens. Isn't that a scary thought in an aircraft like that? Well,
it's not so much in the F-18 because McDonnell Douglas and the Navy and designing it have done a fantastic job. Yeah. And it's a dependable aircraft, and there's really no worries there.
But something happened to you that could have finished all of this in a moment. Sure. You were cycling off one day, right, and something happened to you that could have ended your life.
Exactly. Bicycling to work, and early in the morning, and I was heading from the east, and the sun was at my back just coming up, and a driver coming head-on didn't see me because of the glare in the road, and made a left turn, and unfortunately didn't swerve like the driver did for you this morning, and but hit me basically coming from left to right, and I was propelled over the handlebars of the bicycle, landed on the back of my head, and broke my neck.
Now, as you lay there, were you unconscious, or were you aware of what was happening?
No, I was unconscious. The first thing I remember was paramedics. I don't know if they had smelling salts or whatever, but just asking me where it hurt, and it hurt in my neck, obviously, neck and upper back.
Now, when you were lying there in hospital and the grim reality has been told you, you know that your neck is broken, as a young Christian man whose wife was 7 months pregnant at the time, what did that do to your faith?
I guess challenged it, but didn't force it to waver. I thank God for the time I had at Moody, and an upbringing in a Christian home where I was always taught the standards of the Christian faith, or the fact that God's not here to let us down. And through that, I was aware of the fact that regardless of the outcome of the injury, God had the best in mind for me. And whether it was no more flying the F-18, but being able to fly something else, that'd be fine. Or no flying at all ever again, well, there was something else there, because I was thankful in the first place. He spared my life, and he spared my limbs, basically. There's, quite often the type injury, the break and dislocation, folks don't get up and walk away from. And so I had a lot to be thankful for, and worrying about flying was really the least of my concerns.
But you made quite a remarkable recovery in a relatively short space of time.
I sure did.
Was that a surprise to those at the hospital?
I think I had just fantastic medical care in the sense I ended up being flown up to Bethesda Naval Hospital in the D.C. area, and there Dr. Schaefer, who is a neck specialist there, and also had been a flight surgeon in his younger days, and he'll appreciate that, in the Navy. He had been a flight surgeon, so he was aware of the stresses and everything that are put on a neck. So he had a good handle on whether I'd be able to fly again and if the neck healed properly. So I was flown up there and got the finest care possible, traction for a week, which was interesting, and then the fusion surgery, and basically just less than 6 months after the accident, got back to flying.
Incredible. Now, the message of the movie Top Gun was the best-looking guy gets the best-looking girl, and they'll be happy for the rest of their lives. And the rest of us may as well go and commit suicide. We may as well forget it, because if you're not that, you're a failure. Your life is a testimony of a different story. What would you say to someone who looks at you and thinks this is a good-looking man with a wonderful career? You know, maybe it's easy for him, but when they've heard your story this morning and they realize you almost lost it all, what is the solid point of your life that helped you?
My relationship with God and my faith in God. That's the bottom line. Dependence on Him, knowing that, as the Scripture says, He will keep us in perfect peace who keep our minds stayed on Him. And I had, again, a solid Christian upbringing. That all contributed to that. But a personal relationship and a knowledge that God's not here to let us down. He's here to build us up.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, and we appreciate it. Pat, back to you.
Thank you very much, Sheila.